Right, I'll start the webinar. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hacker versus Police. We're just waiting for a few more to come through and everyone to come through to the waiting room. So we will be starting in a couple of minutes, but you're in the right place.
Hi, Eleanor. Can you hear me?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, we can hear you. We're just waiting for everyone to come in. So thank you, everyone, for joining us at the webinar today. We'll just make one more minute to see if the numbers sort of plateau, and then we will get going. Right, everyone, it's 4 minutes past, so we'll just get going. I've just seen there's a question, Syed, which I will cover in the first few minutes. So yeah, don't worry about that. So thank you, everybody. Welcome to today to the Hacker versus Police. We are joined today by Sam and Gavin, and we're just going to go through the webinar for you. Sorry, Danny as well. I knew I'd get that wrong, you know. I was like, oh, quickly live practice it. So yeah, my name's Eleanor. I'll just be hosting the slides for the Digital Care Hub. But Danny and Sam will be leading. Sam's just a few things to run over housekeeping wise. Attendees are on mute, so you can't be seen. So don't worry if your camera's not working. That's perfect. Please use the Q&A function. I will be keeping an eye on it to make sure if there are any questions come through. And there will be a suitable point, hopefully at the end, to ask those. If you're on your phone, tap the screen to see the controls. Questions that we can't answer or we don't get a chance to, please put your email in the Q&A and we will come back to you afterwards. The webinar is no longer than an hour, so it will finish at 1 o'clock, and the presentation will be emailed out to everybody who registered on Eventbrite, including yourselves. Right, so the agenda today is action-packed. So we've got a hot showdown between the police and Digital Care Hub hacker. So introducing our players is the hacker, who's the attack, who is Sam, and the police, who is Danny, who are defending. So then they will do an overview to kind of see, I guess, what worked, what didn't work, how you can use things to take on, away, and there'll be a chance for Q&A afterwards. Over to Sam.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Just getting into character here. I'm going to have to take these shades off because I can't see anything, and it is nice and sunny outside, but I can't see the screen. So welcome. As I said, today we're going to run through an attack versus defense from a cyber point of view, but we're going to do it in a slightly different way. In the me, an ethical hacker, I'm going to show you how I can break into your accounts, steal your data, and bypass some of your defenses. And then Danny is going to show how to defend against that. And then we'll round it all up at the end by giving you some good hints and tips. That's when the police will step in to try and stop me as I'm trying to get hold of your stuff. So next slide, please, Eleanor. It's been a while since I've said that. So I am playing the role of hacker. My name's Sam. I'm the technical cyber lead for Digital Care Hub. I used to be a chef. And then I spent 10 years as an ethical hacker, pen tester, and cybersecurity consultant. Pen tester, second worst job title in the world. We won't go into why. Then I spent 4 years advanced fraud and cyber crime investigator for HSBC UK. 3 years as a regional cyber coordinator for NHS. You can see all that stuff. I've got experience from the red side of things. The red side is where I attack things to see where the weaknesses are and then build the defenses around. So, over to Danny to introduce himself. Next slide, please, Helena.
Cheers, Sam. So, yeah, as I've been introduced, my name's Danny Gavin. I'm a detective sergeant, one of the sergeants with the cyber dependent crime unit on Merseyside. So, I've been with the police for 11 years. In the past, I've done all the fun stuff of driving cars fast, chasing criminals, and then I moved into investigations, which is where I've been for quite a long time now. In the past few years, I've been within the cybercrime department. So just a very quick kind of overview of our team. We're quite unusual within policing in that we sit within a national infrastructure. We're not, because cybercrime crosses boundaries. We've also got to have a lot of cooperation with national partners. So the cybercrime here will function very much the same as your local department. We're part of Team Cyber UK, and we work closely all the way down from the NCA through to your regional organised crime units, and then out to your local forces. So the key thing for us today is that protect message, which is on the screen there. Obviously, we pursue criminals, we do lock them up, but with cybercrime, it's very, very difficult. A lot of the time they're in foreign countries, and those jurisdictional issues are a massive problem for us. So we put a lot of focus on protect, and that's giving people the awareness and working with individuals and organisations to protect themselves, to make themselves as safe as possible, to make the job really difficult for people like Sam. So that's hopefully what we'll take away from today.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the attacks. Next slide, please. So just a quick introduction. If you go down a Google black hole, you'll find out all sorts of different colored hats for hackers and things like that. But generally, there's black hats. Those are the criminals. And white hats, those are people like me who know how to do it, but we don't break the law. We do it to try and build resilience across different organizations. I've just popped grey hat in there just to show that sometimes there's a middling ground where they might bend the law, but they've got a moral compass or a personal code that doesn't always necessarily align with what the law is at the time. That's just a quick overview. Is that hackers, anyone unauthorized user who attempts to gain access to an information system. Okay, next slide. So just this quick overview, I won't be going into this, but I wanted to let you know that hacking at scale generally won't be targeted to you as an individual or you as an organization. If I'm looking to hack, by the way, I'm in the mind of a hacker at the moment. That's why I'll keep saying me and I, just in case Danny gets worried. If I'm trying to hack at scale, I'm not going to be looking at you as an individual. I'm going to look for vulnerabilities. I'll do massive scans of networks and things like that, software that's out of date, ports that haven't been closed, all sorts of stuff like that, and then I will target in. I just wanted to cover that to show that the majority of attacks are going to be because of weak systems that I happen to scan and not a direct aim. So what you'll see today is me aiming in on you and doing some more precise attacks. Next slide, please. So my attack path today, I'm going to scout, I'm going to get all the information that I can, and I'm going to social engineer you. And I'll go through how I'll do that and the different psychological tricks that I'll use to pull you in. I'm then going to get your password. I say guess your password. You'll realize that I don't have to guess it. And then I'm going to bypass your multi-factor authentication. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show how I'm going to attack that, and then I'm going to pass over Danny, who will show how you can defend against that. Okay, let's go to the next slide, please. So first one, scouting, building a profile on you. Next one, please. So open source intelligence gathering. OSINT is a collection and analysis of data gathered from open sources, overt sources, and publicly available information, produce actionable intelligence. Now, usually in an interactive room, I'd ask for a show of hands, but I imagine that not many of you, maybe Danny, but not many of you will do this. So let me ask it in another way. If you can go to the next slide. How many of you have checked on your best friend's new date on social media? That's open source intelligence gathering. It's getting information that's already out there. So you can use search engines like Google, DuckDuckGo, Yippee and Dogpile. I know you've all heard of those. Company's House is a big one. You can find some financial information, who is linked to who, which officers. Reverse image search, Google does that, TinEye does that. Social media, a big one. I'll show that in a little bit. Anything you have on social media, I can start to use to form a social engineering attack. And also human intelligence. I can ask your friends, colleagues, family members. I can pretend to be somebody else to them as well as to you to try and get information. As simple as ringing up your organization saying, "Hi, is Sally in work today?" That's it. If I get that information, that's getting a little bit more of information of starting to work out your shift patterns. Okay, next slide, please. Now, you have your toolkit. A lot of you will have done or are doing the DSPT. I have my stalking toolkit. So this is the OSINT framework. This is something that I can use that links me to tools that will help me cross-check your emails, your usernames across multiple accounts. That includes dating profiles. If anybody's on a dating profile and a wonderfully fabulous best person you've ever met starts messaging you, it might be me. Okay. Now the thing about this, I don't need to break into anything. All this is already online. In a few clicks, I can know how to tailor an attack you'll fall for without even blinking. You can see a bit of an idea of the OSINT framework there, but it just links into all sorts of different areas and tools that I can build a profile on you or on your organization. Okay, next slide, please. And social engineering hooks. You'll have heard all these, but I want to go through it. I can phish you, I can spear phish you, and I can whale you. Those are all email terms generally. You can see on the screen that phishing is a wide net. I want to get as many people as possible. Spear phishing, I am aiming for you directly, and whaling, I'm going after decision makers. There's all sorts of word with this. You think phishing, that's just if I call you on the phone. Hi, my name's Sam. I'm calling from HSBC. We've noticed an unusual amount of money leave your account. Can I just go through some details with you? That's the kind of thing that you'd hear if I was phishing you via voice. Smishing, silly word, but that's just a text message or message that I can send you on WhatsApp. I can try and spoof numbers. Danny has made it much harder for me to spoof numbers nowadays, and people like Danny, but I can still make it look like a semi-legitimate text message when it comes to you. Quishing, those are QR codes, those things that are on car parks that I can put a sticker over. And scam letters. A lot of people seem to forget that scammers know how to write and can have printers. I can send you a letter pretending to be from HMRC, a physical letter in the post, if I'm targeting you. Now, the scam might change. What I'm trying to do might change, but there's three things that I'm always wanting you to do. I want you to click on a link, I want you to open an attachment, or I want you to divulge information. And the reason for that is I want your login details. I want to deliver malware to collect information, or I want your data to add into my pile of profiles that I can use for social engineering. I'm going to use tried and tested psychological cues to action: authority, scarcity, and time pressure. I will have a baby crying in the background. I can do all sorts of things to put the pressure on you, to get you to go into lizard brain, to forget that you should be thinking about this and jump straight to acting how I want you to act. Okay, next slide, please. And if I'm no good at any of that, which is quite possible if I'm not very good at writing English, or if I'm not that good at thinking about psychological cues, I've got an amazing friend called AI at the moment. Obviously, the rise of AI tools such as ChatGPT and all those that you can see on the screen have made social engineering so much easier for me and much more sophisticated and convincing. As I say, I can now generate persuasive media, and that can be video as well, if needs be, as well as voice. Mimicking real business or individuals with ease. I say ease, you have to have a little bit of know-how, but it is possible and it's getting better and easier to do that. You can see a NatWest UK type one there. That's the kind of thing that if you're a bit tired, you'd easily click on that without thinking about it, and then I've got you. Next slide, please. So next thing is social media engineering. How am I going to get information from you? So on your social media, you probably don't think about this. Who cares if the internet knows that you went and had a curry last night? Who cares that the internet knows that the people have tagged you happy birthday? It's a nice thing. Who cares what your new car looks like? Or what outfit you chose in your garden selfie? What does that matter? How is anybody like me going to use that information to actually attack you? Next slide, please. I'll show you exactly why. So the fact that you went and had a curry last night means that I know which restaurant you used, and I can spearfish you with vouchers pretending to be from that restaurant. People have tagged you happy birthday. I now know your partial or full date of birth for more believable social engineering, such as I said earlier, like, hi, my name is Matt. I'm calling from Lloyd's TSB. Notice an unusual activity on your account. Just to confirm I am who I'm saying, I've got your last 4 digits of your account ending 4404. And I've got your date of birth as the 20th of the 3rd. Okay, we've noticed, and then we can go in from there. What your new car looks like with the license plate, I now know, or I can find out when your MOT and tax is due for phishing. So again, I can send you fake reminders pretending that I'm from DVLA, I'm from the insurance company, and you click on that because you're expecting something around that time, and that's how I can get you. And which outfit you chose, your garden selfie. Is that your wheelie bin with a house number? With Street View, I can find your address, and then you can look out for that official HMRC letter that comes through the post. All these things are from social and digital footprints that you leave without thinking about. And they're absolutely amazing for somebody like me. Next slide, please. So how are you going to defend against my social engineering attacks with that? Over to you, Danny.
On to my next slide. Brilliant. So first things first, it's just considering cybersecurity. A lot of people don't think that cybersecurity matters to them. Most people think, it's a problem for IT, but the issue is cyber attacks affect us all. On an individual level, it can lead to loss of your social media, intrusion into your bank accounts, loss of money, or it can affect our employers or organizations that service us, that when they go down, there's massive disruption to those services. So what we need to do is take sort of small steps. These are all very simple bits of advice to build layered defenses to make Sam's job as difficult as possible. We need to make him work for it. So we'll go to our next slide, please. So yeah, Sam's made it quite clear so far that he's looking for breadcrumbs on us all, to look for vulnerabilities to exploit us, whether it's your birthdays, your employer, family members, etc., etc. So first and foremost, ideally, just be aware and try not put that information out there. If we can avoid it, that's perfect. Secondly, lock down your social media and all your different accounts and be aware of who you have. The amount of people that will have endless lists of contacts that they don't even actually know, thereby exposing their information to people that can use it against them, it's quite significant. So yeah, be aware of that, and just aware of how your innocent data can be used against you. So if we can move on. So yeah, Sam spoke about his social engineering techniques, and the way I like to think about this is that the hacker is trying to hack the human. The technical controls that we have in place, things like firewalls, antivirus, they tend to be quite difficult to bypass. So, and I mean no offense in this, unfortunately, we as humans are the weakest link. So hackers are lazy and they'll try and expose that weakest link, and they will draw on the fact that we're all generally quite nice people. We want to be helpful. We want to help each other out. We're emotional. We want to contribute and be generous. So they'll draw upon things like when there's national disasters and there's charity appeals for money. Around Christmas, when we're expecting deliveries, they'll draw on those kinds of things to try and bait us into engaging with them. So it's just being aware of these kind of characteristics, because all it needs is a bit of confidence. Like from personal experience, the amount of times I've phoned people and said, look, it's Danny Gavin from Merseyside Police. and people never check, and then go on to spill their life story, their details, their personal life. And luckily for them, I am an actual police officer, but they don't actually know that. I could be Sam at the end of that line, getting all their details, their banking details for a fraud inquiry, thereby opening themselves up. And unfortunately, these people are out there. So it's just looking out for these unsolicited calls, things that come out the blue, and particularly when they draw on things like urgency, it's got to be done now, or authority, it is someone like the police or a court, or scarcity. Someone that's offering you concert tickets, Oasis tickets for this weekend, which there will be absolutely none of, or someone offering you a significant amount of money for very little. If it seems too good to be true, it likely is. So just need to be aware of those kind of tactics to engineer you. So we move on. So I'll kind of glance over these relatively quickly because Sam's already alluded to them. But phishing. So phishing is a hacker basically hunting for people. The general phishing term isn't targeted at anyone. It's the attacker or the hacker, Sam in this case, just casting a wide net. It could be those Royal Mail texts that we all get at Christmas. I've had so many of them trying to play on someone that's just waiting desperately for Christmas presents to land on the doorstep. They'll send it to so many people just hoping that it fools a couple into engaging with it, and then disclosing potentially bank details, login credentials. They can harvest that data and then further their attack going forward. And as you can see there, the amount of reports that we get is staggering. We haven't got this year's data yet, but up to August last year, there's 34 million. So basically half of the population receives some sort of phishing attack or attempted phishing attack. And thankfully, they've reported it to us, and law enforcement have managed to take them down. And that's a constant war of ours. And that's why we need this kind of intelligence and the reporting from people to make us aware of them so we can do this work and take them offline. So we're limiting the threat against people. So we move on. So yeah, again, in short, and Sam covered it before, AI makes these kind of scams and vectors scalable to a terrifying degree. It's so simple for people now to make really realistic looking laws to try and bait people with. So you just need to be aware of the things that are on screen now. Obviously, if you get some sort of email, text message that comes out the blue, it's really unexpected, it's urgent, it's not addressed to you generally. It'll always have some generic salutation at the start, value customer, sir or ma'am, something like that. It'll never be named to you generally. If it sounds too good to be true, don't engage with it. But fundamentally, the biggest tip here is to just be slightly suspicious of these emails and always verify. If it comes from someone and your gut just says, this doesn't feel quite right, get in touch with the source directly. If it was me sending it to you and you think this doesn't seem, I wasn't expecting this from Merseyside Police, you get my phone number or give 101 a call and go, did this get sent? Don't fall for it. Can we move on? And spear phishing, Sam's already come to, but this is where the hackers got a significant target. They're looking for you in particular. That might be because they found you on LinkedIn. They might have found me on LinkedIn and thought, Danny's a good target. He works for Merseyside Police. Let's have a look into him, see if we can get any information on him. So they go on, they find my LinkedIn, and then they tailor something, purporting to be from someone I follow or someone I've engaged with on there to try and get some more details, to try and get me to log into one of the services it looks like I use to try and get my credentials. And they are quite cunning. They'll register domains. So a domain is obviously like it's the main site, or it's quite difficult for me to explain in simple terms, to be fair. But whereas you'd have paypal.com, which you can see here, which hasn't got the hyphen, they'll register a domain that looks very similar. So obviously with the hyphen, so that people don't notice it. You have a quick glance and go, yeah, that's fine. And just respond to it. So it gives that air of legitimacy. And this is all that Sam's trying to do by getting those breadcrumbs to make himself look like one of the services we use, one of the restaurants we've been to, someone we know. It gives that email that SMS, an air of legitimacy that might make us think, oh yeah, this is real. Like, you know, I went to Gusto for my tea last night, so this must be true. So yeah, it's just being aware of these things and just questioning everything and always taking time. There's never going to be something that you can't take 5 or 10 minutes to give a bit of consideration to and put a quick phone call in. If we move on.
Oh, hi, can I help?
Can I have a hot chocolate?
What's the name?
Joelle.
What was the name?
Alex.
Alex. There you go, Johnny.
Cheers.
If you like our Facebook page, we give you a free hot drink and a free pastry.
We have a new like for Damien. We have a new like for Damien.
Hey, Carl, are you standing by?
Standing by. Hi there, can I help?
Yeah, I just liked your Facebook page.
Okay, I'll search Facebook
I'm
now.
searching Google.
I have a phone number.
I've got his email address.
Okay, Carly, are you ready?
For information on Damien.
Yep, I am.
Mother's maiden name is he banks with
Carly, this is the girl coming in now with the blue scarf.
What's the name? Nicholas.
Nicola. His date of birth, 7th of May. She lives at 38A.
Just be a couple of seconds.
2 children, age 4 and 6. Previous address. She's got the postcode.
Yep, got it. Damien, age 26 and a fitness instructor.
How do you know that?
Brody goes to UCL. Martin went to South Thames College. Assistant psychologist at Great Ormond Street.
That is... I don't really understand.
Huh? Pardon?
You know I'm a Christian as well.
Oh yeah, we know everything about you, Martin. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Anna from Russia.
So that video is a couple of years old now, but I think it's quite a good demonstration of social engineering and a bit of phishing in a way that they've managed. Action Fraud managed to put that together. It was a real exercise. Lured people in with the offer of a free coffee and then managed to find out so much about them in the 5 minutes it takes to make that person's latte. So if I thought about that locally, if you put that coffee shop next to the police station, there's a good chance there'd be a lot of us going in. And if we weren't aware, we could scan that for our free coffee. And then straight away, the hacker or Sam has got a good in to start researching me. So yeah, I thought that was quite a good watch. So we'll move on.
Okay, so that's all good. So you've managed to lock down your privacy, you're keeping an eye on things, but I'm still going to be able to crack and guess your password. Next slide, please. So when I say I'm going to guess your password, I'm not going to be sat there typing in your dog name, your mother's maiden name. I'm not going to be sat there thinking of what your favorite tree is or stuff like that. I'm going to use tools just as the police use tools, just as you use tools. There are hundreds of password cracking tools out there. The order that I'm going to try and guess your password is I'm going to check for any breached passwords first. Those are passwords that have already been taken from somewhere. I'll check, have I been pawned? And yes, I already know that you capitalize the first letter. I know that you put a 1 at the end, and I also know that you put an exclamation mark at the end. It's a pattern. I know it. You know it. If that fails, if I can't find your breached password, I'm going to use the most common used passwords that are currently in circulation. If that doesn't work, I'm going to use something called a dictionary and a rainbow table attack. I'll only briefly cover rainbow table attack because it is technical, but I think it's important to know about. And then I'm going to finally, if none of that works, I'm going to brute force my way in. I'm going to find every character possibility and get in that way. Okay, next slide, please. So how am I going to find your breach stuff? Oh, credential stuffing. I forgot about this slide. So the reason that I'm doing this is that I'm going to breached passwords. If I find an account that has been breached and have the password for that, you might not even remember signing up to it. It might be an old gaming website when you were 14, but you used a password that you use again and again. And I'm going to use your username or your like email address usually, and that breached password, and I'm going to automatically try that across every website I can think about, whether it's PayPal, your banking, Facebook, social media, everything. I'm going to try that one password that's been breached that you haven't thought about in 20 years, and I'm going to try and get into all your other stuff, because you always use different passwords at different accounts, so that won't be a problem for me, will it? You don't use a different password for every account. I know that, and you know that. Okay, next slide, please. So when I'm looking for breach passwords, this is a great site for both an attacking point of view and defending point of view. Have I been pawned? I can look for your email address and see where it's been breached. So this was my own email address, and I can see that it was breached with Canva in 2019. Nothing against Canva. There's lots of companies that get breached all the time. And look at the compromised data, because this is what I'm looking for. I'm pointing at the screen, you can't see me, but I'm looking for your passwords. But you can see other compromised data there that I, as a hacker, could use to social engineer you, as Danny was saying earlier, such as your name, your usernames, geographic locations. But in this case, I'm looking for passwords. So where do I find these breach passwords? If you go to the next slide, please. Everywhere is the answer. They're all over the place. If anybody's ever been to GitHub, there are masses of databases on there of breach credentials. This one from Alice I quite like because it's got a nice clear list of stuff. If I can't find a particular breach database on what I call the clear net, which is the normal internet, I can always go to the dark net, which I admit looks a bit like GeoCities. That's the thing you can see that PayPal is hidden from. I'm going to have to put my glasses on for this, but what I particularly like about this darknet marketplace that I was searching for is on there. They've got, we don't send any email asking for money. Any email pretend to be from us is scam. The darknet is full of scammers scamming each other, as well as I'm trying to scam you. They're trying to scam me while I'm looking for a breached password database. So that's just where I get those kind of things. If we go to the next slide, please. Then I'm going to try the most common passwords. These are all over the place. The ones that I use are from the NCSC. They use basically the pawned passwords, top 100,000 passwords. If your password is on here, I am already in your account. If your password is in the top 1,000, I am already in your account. It takes seconds, milliseconds for my computer to try all these possibilities. And these are going to be some of the ones that I try first. So if you see your password here, please change it. Well, I mean, don't, because I'm a hacker. Don't change it. I'll be in. Next slide, please. So, I say I'll briefly cover these. Dictionary attack is fairly self-explanatory. I'm going to use what's called a digital dictionary. It's just a dictionary full of words and common used phrases that will just try again and again to try and get into your password. Rainbow table attack is basically exactly the same as most common passwords, but it uses their hashes rather than the actual passwords themselves. A password hash is how your password should be stored when it's on a database anywhere. It's basically an encrypted version of your password. So your password doesn't look like an actual password, and I'll show you what it looks like in the, I think, the next slide. If we go forward. Yeah, there we go. That's what a hash password looks like. So far, I've tried to find your breach password. If I find it there, fantastic. I can use that to try and get into all your other accounts. Failing that, I can try and use all sorts of stuff. Password attack, most common dictionary attacks. All that fails, I've got brute force to fall back on. As I say, there's loads of tools that can help me do this. So brute force, in this particular instance, this is any 6-character digits of any variety. It doesn't matter how complex it is. If it's 6 digits, I can get in. Now you can see in this 700, I'll try and say this number, 742,912,080,729 different passwords was attempted, and it took my computer 44 minutes. It's a gaming PC. It's not a specialist like hardware from a university or anything. It's just a gaming PC. Think how many passwords it can break just at 6 digits. Your weak password is mine already. It doesn't matter if it's complex. If it's 5, 6 characters, I'm getting in there. So, I believe, how are you going to defend against that? If you go to the next slide.
Right, so yeah, passwords are your first line of defense, and as Sam rightly said, if you've got a weak password, that's like using the same key for every door in your house, every possession you've got, your car, and Sam's just taken it and he's run away with it all. So obviously the National Cybersecurity Centre is the national lead around this, and obviously the big ask of you is never reuse your passwords. Ultimately, once one is compromised, one's leaked, if you use that for every account, your email, your banking, then Sam's in. Job done, nice and easy for him. He's barely had to break a sweat for that. Now, it's a big ask to have different passwords for every account, but I'm going to give you a bit of help with that. But the biggest or the simplest tip is to make a slightly more complex password. And so Sam alluded to the 6-digit one or 6-character passwords there, which are really simple to break. But if we start making them a little bit longer, like using the 3 random words tip, like as you can see here, I've got carpet, lorry, and mountain. I don't know where I pulled them from. You've got a slightly more complex password, which is going to take Sam a hell of a lot longer to break. Stay away from those kind of things that Sam has found in his reconnaissance when he's been looking at your Facebook. That it's your date of birth, your pets, your children, your favourite football team, because they're the first places he's going. If he's doing a targeted attack, he's building his word list up with those kind of things, because that's what most of us use. So yeah, the biggest tip, which I'll come to in a minute in terms of managing loads of passwords, is a password manager, but we'll move on to the next slide for now. So as you can see here, I've used the carpet lorry mountain as a bit of an example, but I ran this through a system in Liverpool 123, which is a nice simple password. Sam would be in less than a second. Job done. Carpet lorry mountain still isn't perfect, but it's going to take him 4 days. You know, that's still a significant amount of time. He'd have to be very committed to come after you for that. But then we make it a little bit more difficult. You know, capitalize the first letters. That's a month. And then as we work down and make it that little bit more complex, you can see there how much harder it gets for Sam. And, you know, that one at the bottom there, I think he's going to really struggle to still be around to get into your accounts at that point.
I'm going to give up
we'll
after 6 hours. I'll be honest, I'm lazy.
So we'll move on. So yeah, password managers. Obviously, if you all look at your smartphones now, I guarantee there's probably somewhere in the region of 100 different apps on there, likely 100 different accounts. So therefore, you know, it would seem a bit mad that I'm asking you to have 100 separate passwords. So you do need a tool for that. And I'd really strongly suggest password managers. There's loads of different ones out there. As the police, I can't particularly advertise my favorite ones, but there are a few on there, which I'd suggest looking into. If you Google them and do a bit of research, they're really helpful. I use one to keep all my passwords secure. They're all encrypted. Mine is behind my fingerprint on my phone. So get me, you know, Sam's not going to get into that. He'd have to have my device to get in there. And basically it stores everything. It'll store the account you're using the password for, what the password is. So it just makes your life so much easier. Most of them will suggest passwords. So as we saw there, like carpet lorry mountain still only took 4 days. But if you make that a random string of, you know, absolute gobbledygook, which mine does, mine's just all my passwords are about 20, just letters, characters, and special characters. So it'd take millions of years potentially for someone to crack with current computers. So it can help with that. And they're also quite beneficial because many will do dark web monitoring. So they will be looking out there for those forums that Sam will be looking on. And they'll alert you as soon as your password comes up, Liverpool 123 has been compromised. It'll alert you, so you know, right, I need to change that really quick to make sure that Sam doesn't get in. But ultimately, you can also try and do that yourself. Sam accessed Have I Been Pawned? That's open source. We can all get on there. If, you know, I definitely suggest after this input today, we all go in and put our email addresses in, look at what accounts you've had in data breaches and consider, do you need to change those passwords? Are they out there and exposed at the moment, just waiting for Sam to go and find them and to break into your accounts? So we'll move on.
Okay, so that's all very good. So you've got your defense sorted, but you're going to hide behind your golden shield of MFA, which is a big thing, particularly over the past year or two, probably longer than that. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to bypass your MFA. In fact, not just one, I'm going to show you the 3 ways that I can bypass your multi-factor authentication. Next slide, please. So if you know multi-factor authentication or 2-factor authentication, it's using more than one of something you know, something you are, and something you have. And I am going to break it in one of 3 ways. I'm going to either use Pester Power, I'm going to use a SIM swap, or I'm going to use something called a token theft. Next slide, please. So pester power, this is my favorite one, especially for British and particularly for people who work in care, because you just want to please people. So this makes my job particularly easy. I am just going to keep sending you. I'm just going to keep trying to log in, and it will send you again and again. Please allow this person. Is this you? Is this you? You're busy, you're distracted, or it's 3 o'clock in the morning, because that's when I'm up and about. You probably think it's a glitch or it's something not quite right. It doesn't matter. It's just me knocking over and over and over again. So you just tap that little allow button and you can have peace and go back to sleep and don't worry about it at all. So that's pester power. I'm just going to keep sending alerts to you until you allow me in. Next slide, please. SIM swaps, this is a huge one at the moment. Why hack your phone when I can just pretend to be your phone, basically? So if you get a text message with your multi-factor authentication, all I have to do, that's it all, I have to trick your provider into giving me your number so that any messages that you get, I also get any text messages. So I say a tricky mobile provider into giving me control of your number onto a new SIM card. I can social engineer the provider directly. I can just ring them up and try and pretend to be you. I can pay a friend who works there, or I can get a temp job as a customer service assistant. The turnover of staff in obviously call centers is quite high, so it's relatively easy to get a job there. I'm not saying that always happens, but that's something that you can think about. So now your MFA texts come to my phone and not yours, and you don't even know that it's happening until it's too late. And just say I've put a little potential scenario of social engineering we talked about earlier. I can use the same technique to trick Vodafone, to trick Orange, to O2. Oh, I don't even know if Orange exists anymore. But exactly. So, hi, is that Vodafone? I'm sorry, this is a bit of an emergency. I work in social care and I dropped my phone in the sink during a visit this morning. The SIM's completely dead and I've got safeguarding goals I cannot miss. I've picked up a new SIM already. I just need my number moved over as soon as possible. I can give you my number, my postcode, whatever you need. Remember what I've picked up earlier? I'm just really up against it. I've got a call with safeguarding in the next half hour, and if I miss that, it delays care for a really vulnerable adult. Please, please, please help me. A lot of people are going to fall for that. And then I have access to your text messages. Next slide, please. Now, this is a bit more technical, but I wanted to go through it. Token theft. This is something that I'm quite interested in. You might have noticed on certain sites when you log in, it says, do you want to remember this device? Do you want to remember this browser? And we won't ask you again for 30 days, 60 days, or ever again. If your device is trusted or remembered, I can steal that little bit of data that tells system, yep, it's still you, even without a password or multi-factor authentication. The reason for that is I don't have to log in again, because if I put your data into my system, as far as it knows, you never left, so I don't have to log in again. And all I have to do is set up a fake page somewhere. As Danny said earlier, I can easily like buy a domain cheaply that looks similar, paypal.com, something like that. Make it look very similar. I can steal the code. And then I set it up, send you a phishing link, you click on it, it looks legitimate, you put your real details in, I get your data and steal it. So those are 3 ways that I'm going to bypass your golden shield, which is about at the moment. So next slide, please. Oh yeah, so that's it.
Over to me. So yeah, multi-factor authentication is really important. Obviously, at this stage, we're relying on it if Sam has managed to get your credentials. So we're at the point now that Sam's got your email address, he's got your password, and he's trying to log into one of your accounts. So he's got the key, but we need a second lock, and that's what MFA is. And Sam's already mentioned a bit, it relies on having a number of steps. So something you know is always your credentials. But unfortunately, other people can know that. Sam knows it. So we need other things that Sam doesn't have. So that's either something you have or something you are. Now, something you have is generally your phone. There are other things, but it's generally for ourselves will be our phones. And something you are is fingerprints, facial recognition, or something like that. If we can implement those different levels into our kind of defense, as well as starting off with a strong password in the first place, but now we've got strong MFA. Sam's really going to have to work. He's going to hit a brick wall with this, but it's not infallible. Sam's already, covered there. SIM swapping is a massive threat to SMS and email based MFA. So that's probably our weakest link at the moment. I'd definitely say to avoid those where we can, because they can be manipulated, and I've got some really good examples of that coming up for you shortly. Pester power, again, just comes down to being aware. We've covered that through the social engineering. Sam's just trying to put that pressure on you, that urgency, just trying to push you into reacting and doing what he wants. So again, just being aware that that's a tactic, that's what people are doing out there, and not responding to it. And token theft is all about, again, just being aware of those emails, just avoiding, sorry, I've lost my page. Yeah, just being aware that people do these kind of things, and just verifying your emails when they come through. So the best ways of doing this is avoiding your SMS and your emails. Potentially in industry, they do have security tokens, which are like USBs that we can plug in, but they don't tend to occur in day-to-day life. Biometrics, again, fingerprint and facial recognition, Sam's going to really do well to spoof them, to have your fingers or to have your face in front of that device to do it. Or best practice, which is generally used on most services these days, is an authenticator app. You can download some. I know Merseyside Police, we use Google Authenticator. And basically what that does is it synchronizes with your account and will generate unique codes that only live for a short period, generally, 30 seconds to maybe a couple of minutes max, so that there's only a short period for that code to be used should it be compromised. So I definitely implore you to ensure that you've got multi-factor authentication on all your accounts, just in case the passwords are compromised. And the best practice would be to use the Authenticator app. Can we move on? Right, so I've kind of amalgamated the two slides into that first one there, but again, yeah, pester power. Don't let Sam trick you by just applying that pressure. Avoid an MFA that is just a click yes, this is you to log in. Use that Authenticator app that uses a code that you need to generate to make it that little bit more difficult. SIM swap is a massive risk for ourselves at the moment. We're seeing loads of reports with 2,800 last year. I suspect from what I've seen, there's going to be a lot more this year. So again, stay away from SMS and email-based authentication. Use that Authenticator app, and beware of your digital footprint that's out there, which is going to allow Sam to tailor those spear phishing emails that are going to make you click them. And for businesses, obviously, you're going to need your mobile carrier details in business continuity, so that you can get in touch with them via different means to address it should an issue occur. And token theft, again, unsolicited emails, these phishing attacks, how Sam's going to harvest that token, or potentially there are malware options or viruses, for which your best kind of defense against is more technical, and is all about keeping your software on your phones and your devices up to date, so that they're best placed to offer you that defense. So we'll move on. So yeah, quick one on software updates. Sam's not really attacking people technically today, but it is really important, and a lot of people don't do it. So we'll all have had that pestering email or pop-up or whatever it is on our devices that says, we need to restart your computer after we've done an update. This update needs to be done, and it takes you out of action for a while. They don't, they're never updated in 10 minutes. It tends to take quite a while, and we all put it off. But those updates don't tend to be about making your new operating system or your desktop look nice. What's behind them are security concerns. What tends to have prompted them are that the developers have become aware of a risk to that device or the software that you've got or the app that Sam can exploit. So they push out this software to lock down that hole in the software to prevent Sam from doing it. But as soon as they announce that this update is needed, Sam's monitoring them. Sam's looking for windows to say, oh, this needs patching or this needs updating, because he's looking for people that don't act quick enough. Because
There's
in that
always at
window,
least a 2-week window when it's announced that I know there's going to be fresh for the pickings people to go at.
see, from the man himself, 2 weeks. So he's got loads of targets there to try and exploit this known vulnerability that's been put out there. It's public. He knows it's true. It's easy for him now. So it's all about keeping your apps up to date, your phones, your operating systems, doing it as quickly as you can on all your software, your web browsers, your OSs, and then just having that safety net of an antivirus. Sometimes things do sneak through, or there might be something that Sam has managed to put onto your system, which helps him to harvest your data or your credentials. And an antivirus, if you keep that up to date, because again, they do go out of date, that'll offer you the maximum protection. So the next slide is actually, it's a video, and it kind of demonstrates SIM swapping.
They're going to hack me using social engineering, which is essentially hacking without any code. They just use a phone and an internet connection.
Do you want to do a sample phishing call?
What's phishing?
Phishing is voice solicitation, and basically what you do is you use the phone to extract information or data points that can be used in a later attack.
Let's do it. Who are you going to call?
Maybe I'll call your cell phone provider and see if I can get them to give me your email address.
I bet they're good. I bet they have my back. But yeah, go for it.
I'm going to spoof from your number, so it's going to look like it's calling from you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. My husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby and he's like, get this done by today. So I'm so sorry. I can't call you back. I'm trying to log into our account for uses information and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. The baby's crying and can you help me? Awesome.
In just 30 seconds,
At gmail.com?
Jessica gets access to my personal email address.
Now, if I needed to add our older daughter on our account so she could call in and make changes, how would I need to go about doing that? You would have to send me a secure PIN through a text message? Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think I'll be able to receive a text message if I'm on the phone. Oh, I'm not on there either? So I thought when we got married, he added me to the account.
Jess uses my girlfriend's name and a fake social security number
5127
to set up her own personal access to my account.
Wait, I'm sorry, so there's no password on my account right now? Can I set that up?
She even gets the support person to change my password.
Thank you so much for your help today.
So she just basically blocked me out of my own account.
I'll get her fed after this. All right, thank you.
So obviously, the actual spoofing of the numbers is more difficult now, and I thought it was quite interesting that Sam had mentioned before that he'd use a baby crying, because they did in that one. But you can see how effective it is with a bit of confidence, and it does happen. There's an example here on the screen, which I don't expect everyone to read, but in short, Connor Turner at the time of this offence was a 16-year-old lad, and he was doing exactly as the woman did in that video. He was phoning up phone providers for various individuals and companies, pretending to be them and getting their number transferred to a SIM card he controlled. The way we've all done, we've all got new phones, got that PAC code to move across to a different network. That's basically what he was doing in order to have the MFA to then defraud them of money. This is a 16-year-old lad that was posing as 50-year-old male executives of companies, which just sounds mad. But I've listened to the calls, we've got the recordings, and just because he had the confidence to do it, it was effective, and he walked away with near enough £70,000 at the age of 16, 17, and obviously took us a lot of work, but we charged and convicted them eventually. So yeah, it's just thought that was quite useful to show that these things do really happen, and there's consistent issues at the moment.
So yeah, basically in summary,
Sorry,
how on
Sam,
earth are you going to stop me? Yep.
Before you carry on, just heads up, it's 56, so we've just got 4 minutes.
I'll be
left.
very quick now. So yeah, how are you going to stop me? Next slide. Yeah, together. That's how. Things like this, learning off each other. We will try and answer some questions, but it might be at the end. So if you put your email addresses in there, we'll make sure we get back to you. If you go to the next slide. So one thing to help with all of this, because there's a lot that Danny and myself have gone through today, use a framework such as the DSPT or Cyber Essentials. The DSPT has all of this stuff thought about, and if you go through it line by line, it will help you to mitigate so many of the risks that I've gone through with you today. Next slide, please. And just as a quick example of this, these are some DSPT items it asks for. And on the right, you can see why, from my point of view as a hacker, it would be a nightmare. Like if all laptops or removable devices and access to personal data are encrypted. If I steal a tablet or a mobile phone from one of your staff members and it's encrypted, I can't do anything with it. I'm stuck with a paperweight. So use the DSPT for stuff like that. We go to the next slide, please. Sorry, I'm rushing through these. I do apologize. Just to go through everything that Danny has basically gone through, a little bit of DSPT, here's an overview of defense, good password practice, different passwords for different logins, especially your email. Longer the better, 3 random words, as NCSC recommends, to help better memorize. Multi-factor authentication, because it stops me, it just gives me extra things. I'm lazy. If it starts to take me too much effort, I'm going to move on to somebody else. A multi-factor authentication, ideally an authenticator app, and use a password manager to make your life easier and to keep an eye out for any breaches out there. Keep yourself and staff trained. There's loads of free and paid training out there, things like this. Don't struggle alone. As I said, use a framework to assist you, such as the DSPT. It's complex. Cyber is complex. There's a lot of different moving parts. So use something to help you build your resilience. Social engineering, review your privacy settings, limit what anyone can see, make sure that, you know, only friends can see or friends of friends, whatever your risk appetite is. Pause and think, does the message create urgency or something like that? Just take a moment before acting and verify before you trust. Independently confirm requests, particularly for sensitive info, payments or urgent actions via a separate channel. So this is, we won't go into this, but there's some horrible AI videos that go around tricking people into thinking it's family members and stuff. A really quick way to do this, I don't know if Daniel agreeing with this, is to have a password, like, or a passphrase that you and your family know or you and your organization knows. Change it regularly, but just something so that if your boss suddenly asks you to move £10,000 in an emergency, you can go, what's this week's password? And if it's me, a hacker, I'm not going to know that if it's an internal only thing. It's just a little things like that to start to think about. Patch and patch again, keep everything up to date. It's for security, not just functionality, as Danny mentioned. Use antivirus firewalls and VPNs where you can, or make sure your IT supplier understands your data. And enable auto updates. And next slide, please. I think this is the last slide now. And please, as Danny said, do report things. You don't know what part of the puzzle you might be giving to Danny and his colleagues to really help us to shut down some of the nasty people that are doing some of this stuff to some of the most vulnerable people. You can see email, report, phishing.gov.uk, text messages. If you think you're being scammed, if you think you're speaking to your bank but you're not sure, hang up and call 159. I used to work at a bank. They are very heavily trained to know that they are fine if you hang up and call back using 159. They'll put a note on your account and you can get it sorted. If they try and pressure you to talk then and there, it probably isn't the bank. And if you have been hacked or lost money, then do go to actionfraud.police.uk or call them on their number. And I believe that brings us to 1 o'clock, Eleanor. I've tried to be as quick as possible on last ones. I think we're sending these out to everyone as well, so those links will be available to everyone.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you both. Yes, that was the end. It does bring us to 1 o'clock. There are quite a few questions. Just one I'll pick up for the last minute. Was about password managers. A couple of people have picked up about what happens if they get hacked.
It's for me, I don't know if you want to understand it, but for me, a password manager, yeah, it is the risk that you put all your hopes into one thing, but it's a bit like having a wallet or a mobile phone. The chances of that being broken into versus having a load of easy to guess passwords, it just doesn't, the balance itself, have a password manager, have a good password on it. The chances of it being breached are low, not invisible, as you can see, there are some actual breaches out there, but make sure that your password to get into the password manager is a good one, or use biometrics, because I'm not going to be able to take your hand or your eyes with me.
Yeah,
to be able to
I think for me as well, I think one of the other benefits is that, yeah, if it does get breached, they'll be out there, but the passwords will generally be hashed. they're not going to be in clear text, so the hacker won't be able to see that it is carpet, lorry, truck, or whatever the example was I used, because they're not stored in clear text. They're stored as a hash, so it goes through an algorithm, and it basically spits out this digest, which is just a load of characters and numbers.
Yeah, just to add
So
that
then
they
they'd
are
have to
heavily hashed as
dehash
well. Yeah,
so
they are
they'd have
salted
to
with all
go through a
sorts.
big process of dehashing them, which is difficult. Not impossible, but it's difficult. So I'd say that's a better risk to take than having simple passwords that that you can remember, that you're struggling to remember.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, both. That was really interesting to see the backwards and forwards between how you kind of combat it and how you attack it. There are a couple of other questions. We will manage those on email afterwards because I'm conscious it's now 1:02. But the password manager came up a couple of times. The slides will be shared with everyone who registered on Eventbrite, along with the transcript, because that's been asked a couple of times. But yeah, great questions, great session. So thank you, Deli, thank you, Sam, and thank you everybody for joining.
Thanks.
Thank you.